This is Miss Kelly, and I'm going to read Garfield the Magician. Garfield, Odie, called John. Want to see my act for the big charity show tonight? Garfield groaned. Not again. Remember what happened last year? It's even better than my unicycle act. You wiped out the entire first row, Garfield reminded him. That old lady still walks with a limp. John sprang into the room. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the amazing Arbuckle and his mystifying feats of magic. Odie applauded. Garfield just scowled. John covered his right hand with a scarf. Presto, he said, whipping off the scarf. But there was nothing in his hand. John tried again. Still, nothing appeared. Finally, a bird poked its head out of John's collar. John, I'm amazed, said Garfield. Amazed that any act can be this bad. John went out to get a haircut, leaving the magician's equipment with Garfield and Odie. Some magician, remarked Garfield. John couldn't pull a rabbit out of an overcrowded rabbit hole. He picked up John's magic wand. But magic is no problem for the great Garfieldo. Huh? Said Odie. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the great Garfieldo and his incredibly dumb assistant Odie. Arf, barked Odie, taking a bow. For my first trick, my assistant will get into this magic box. Odie got into the box. Garfield tapped the box twice with John's magic wand. Then he opened the box. Odie was gone. This is easy, said Garfield. And now, continued Garfield, even though he's a dopey, slobbering dog who drives me crazy, I shall make Odie reappear. Garfield tapped the wand twice on the box. He lifted the lid, but Odie wasn't there. A slight delay, said Garfield. He tapped the box again. Still, Odie failed to appear. Quit kidding around, Odie, warned Garfield. Whap, 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 whap. Garfield struck the box with the wand. But no Odie. Odie, where are you? Called Garfield. He thought he heard Odie barking, but the sound was faint and soon faded away. That dopey dog got lost in there, said Garfield. Now I'll have to find him. Garfield squeezed himself into the magic box. He tapped the wand twice, and poof, Garfield vanished. He reappeared a split second later. Nice trip, said Garfield. The food was only fair, but I enjoyed the movie. Then he took a look around. Wow, what a weird place. There were trees, grass, flowers, and sky, just like in Garfield's world. Only here the colors were all different, and there was something strange about the air. It seemed to hum and crackle with electricity. Reminds me of our color TV when John tried to fix it, observed Garfield. Well, I better collect Odie and get back home. But before Garfield could begin searching, he spotted something peculiar hopping his way. The hat hopped to a stop in front of Garfield. Up popped a bunny. Hey, you're a cat, said the bunny. We don't get too many cats here in the magic zone. Magicians usually don't use cats. I guess cats don't do tricks. We're too smart for that, replied Garfield. Of course, we don't get too many dogs here either, the bunny continued. But I just saw one. He was chasing his tongue. That must be Odie, said Garfield. Can you take me to him? Sure, said the bunny. By the way, my name's Maxwell. You can call me Max. I'm the great Garfieldo. You can call me Great. Garfield followed the hopping hat. "That dog was here a minute ago," said Max. "You're right. I see the slobber marks," observed Garfield. "We'll just follow them and—" Hey! Suddenly, Garfield was being wrapped up in colorful scarves. "Don't panic," said Max. "It's only a scarf snake. He wants to play." "Then let him play with someone else," snapped Garfield, wrestling with the colorful coils. "How do I get rid of him?" "Keep pulling. When you get to the end, he'll drop off." Garfield pulled and pulled. It seemed like the scarves would go on forever. But finally, Garfield reached the end. The snake dropped to the ground, and Garfield and Max went on. "What's this?" asked Garfield. "Magicians use a lot of birds," explained Max. "Some of them like to play cards while they're waiting to be zapped back into the real world. But you have to be careful," said Max in a whispered voice. "Some of these birds are pretty good at card tricks. You never know what they have under their wings." As Garfield watched, there was a hissing noise, followed by a pop, and one of the card players disappeared. "Charlie's magician must be performing today," said one of the other birds. "Too bad. Look, he had 4 aces. "Hey, so do I," said another bird. "I see what you mean, Max," whispered Garfield. Garfield and Max continued their search. Finally, Garfield heard someone howling over the next hill. "I'd know that howl anywhere," said Garfield. "I'm coming, Odie." Sure enough, there was Odie, and it was easy to see why he was howling. "I always knew your head wasn't screwed on tight," remarked Garfield. "There's magic in the air here," explained Max. "If you're not used to it, it can have a strange effect." "Odie was pretty strange already," said Garfield. "What do we do?" "No problem. Just push him back together, and he'll soon be good as new." When Odie had a goofy head on his shoulders once again, it was time to go home. But suddenly Garfield had a troubling thought. "How do we get out of the magic zone?" "Usually you wait for your magician to zap you out of here," said Max. "Of course, if your magician isn't very good, that could be a problem," Max sighed. "My magician was all thumbs, so I've been here a long time." "John doesn't even know we're here," explained Garfield. "And even if he did, he'd never get the magic right. He'd probably zap us to the moon." "Looks like you're stuck here," said Max. Garfield frowned. "I hope someone zaps some lasagna." "Wait a minute," cried Garfield. "We don't need John to get us out of here. We've got the great Garfieldo." "Can you really do it?" asked Max. "Of course," replied Garfield. "You said the air here was full of magic. I'll borrow just enough of it to zap us home." "Even me?" said Max. "I don't forget my friends," said Garfield. He picked up a stick. "This should make a fine magic wand. Now, Odie, hold my hand, and Max, you hold Odie's hand." Garfield waved the stick in the air. "Power of the magic zone, you zapped us here, now zap us home. Presto!" The air hissed and crackled. Then there was a blinding flash of light. John was frantically trying to get his magic rings apart, and the charity show audience was starting to boo, when first Garfield, then Odie, then Max popped out of John's box. "Garfield! Odie! Get off the stage," ordered John. "You're ruining my act." "These people have suffered enough," replied Garfield, pushing John aside. "It's time they saw some real magic." Garfield placed a scarf over his hand. When he pulled the scarf away, there was a plate of lasagna. The audience applauded loudly. You really are great," exclaimed Max. "Of course," said Garfield. "And now I'll make this lasagna disappear." And he did, in a single bite. The end.